scholars? Welcome back to another video. Today I am going to be discussing my top 10 moments in One Piece so far. Now I am only doing this up through Impel Down because we're not going to talk about that next arc. Only through Impel Down. I'm not going any further because no. So yes, we are going to be discussing my top 10 favorite moments from One Piece thus far up until Impel Down. I have taken notes. This is my actual top 10 list, and this was my drawing board. I kind of drew a very jacked up Luffy, but I had a very intense writing session over here trying to figure out, because I thought this was actually going to be very easy to choose my top 10, but then as I started listing out moments, more moments kept popping up, and as I was reviewing my notes from all of the reviews I've done, I was like, oh, but this moment was so good. Oh, but this is so good. Oh, but this was so important. Oh, but this. And it made choosing my top 10 very, very difficult. But I got it. We got it. It's here. But I do have a lot of honorable mentions. So there will be honorable mentions for this that I will say before the top spot gets revealed, which might be a surprise to some of you, but I don't think it will be to a lot of you. But yes, let's go ahead and start this. I will talk about it from 10 to 1. So starting at number 10, my number 10 top moment was the punch from Sabaody when Luffy punches the Celestial Dragon. That moment was, first of all, it was so satisfying because of everything that the Celestial Dragons had done, everything that they were part of, what they had done to Hachi at that point. It was so satisfying to see the Celestial Dragon get punched, but also the connotations behind that action. First of all, Luffy knowing that this action was going to have consequences, and it did. It had very hurtful consequences, but also the fact that he was not going to let it slide that someone had hurt somebody he cared about. Even if he knew the consequences were bad, he could not let it slide, and he did it anyways. It was a very awesome moment. I really loved the punch that Luffy gave that dragon. It was great. So my number 9 moment is when Nami asks Luffy for help back in Arlong Park in the East Blue, when we get Nami's backstory and that moment of her just absolutely breaking down, like clawing her own arm and crying, and Luffy stopping her trying to get him to go away, but he just sits there and he waits, and she finally breaks down, turns around and says, "Luffy, help me." Luffy takes his hat off and puts it on Nami. That moment is so good. That was the second time the show had made me cry up to that point. Sanji's backstory and his goodbye to Zeph got me a little bit, But Nami, her asking Luffy for help made me cry so much. And because it signified so much. One, that Luffy counted Nami at that moment already as a treasure of his, someone he treasured because of the way he gave her his hat to watch out for, and she knew how important his hat was, the way he was willing to do whatever it took to help her out, even though he knew nothing of her history, he knew nothing about her backstory. He simply saw someone he considered a friend hurting and in danger and wanting help, and he helped her. I love that moment. That's always been such a special moment to me. Number 8. There's a lot of ways this could be classified, but the Going Merry. The Going Merry's goodbye. Sobbing. Absolute sobbing. When they had to finally say goodbye to the Merry, it was so emotional. It was so gut-wrenching to all of the members there, but it signified so much about their journey, about their growth, about where they were going for the future, and the fact that the ship was loved so much that a spirit was born from that, and they could hear the Mary talking, and still when the Mary says sorry, I think that moment coupled with kind of pairing these together, I guess, but pairing with the moment the Mary came to save them from Enel's lobby and they all jumped into the ocean and she says, "I've come to get you." All of that culminates in one moment for me. That's all like culminated into one moment. It might be cheating, but this is my list. I can cheat. That's all one moment. I love that moment so much. It's so good. It's painful and it hurts, but it's good. So good. Well, that is number 8. Number 7 might be one that y'all wouldn't expect me to pick. But number 7 is when Sanji saves Usopp on Skypiea. When him and Usopp are going to Enel to save Nami because Nami is with Enel. And Sanji plays it off so well, say, oh, well, he doesn't care about the guys, he only cares about Nami. And yet, while he's off destroying the ship so that they can leave safely, Usopp, he's trying to protect Nami and it's not working. And Sanji comes in, kicks Usopp out of the way of Enel's attack and tanks it on himself, still stands and says, "Thanks for the light." That moment was so good. It embodies who Sanji is as a character. It embodies his love and care and devotion for his crew that he will absolutely never just blatantly admit out loud. At least up to what we've seen. I've seen at least. He won't admit it out loud that he cares deeply for every single member of his crew. But he does, and his actions show that he does. I love that moment. First of all, it's such a cool moment for Sanji. Second of all, I love that it shows the bond that they have. Beautiful. I love it so much. And I love that after that, Usopp's the one to come back and save Sanji. Like, he gets Sanji and leaves. That duo. I love that duo. I love that moment. That was one of Sanji's best, not his best moment, but one of his best moments. There's a couple others, but that's beside the point. I love that moment. Number 6 is definitely a more recent favorite of mine. It is the team up that happens in Impel Down between Luffy, Mr. 3, Buggy, even Bug Clay, Crocodile, and Jinbei. And even when they all team up, that's my favorite thing. I love it. I love it so dearly. I want to talk about more, but I can't because I'm sad. The fact that Luffy is able to rally so many around him, that they're all working together for a common goal to get out of Impel Down so he can go to Ace. I love the team up because it's a dynamic you don't think is gonna work, but it works so well. Like Buggy and Mr. 3 working together, they are a fantastic duo, by the way. I love them so much, and how Bon Clay adds into the mix and how he helps them out, but then you add Even on top of that, and then Crocodile. Y'all know my love for Crocodile by now. I shouldn't have to say it. Him joining in the mix, and then you get Jinbei, who's trying to keep Crocodile at bay from Whitebeard. That team up is so chaotic but iconic, and I love it so much because it works. And seeing Buggy and Crocodile work together is something I never thought I would see, but I'm so happy to have seen. I love it so much. I can't describe why I love it so much, but I love it so much, and it made one of my favorite moments. Now, number 5, getting into the top half of this list, we got Brooke's backstory. There's a lot of great backstories in One Piece. Most backstories in One Piece make me cry. It does not fail. They make me cry. Brooks was like an unusual sort of pain and suffering that just absolutely destroyed my heart. The way, and the anime did this beautifully. I loved it in the manga, but the anime handled it beautifully. The way Binks Booze was playing in the background, how Brooke was going back and forth between being all alone to reminiscing about his crew, all the way down and being the only one to survive because of his devil fruit, because at the time, like, he died, like, he could die, but in a sense he couldn't, because he was just gonna come back again and be left alone by himself. It's so sad the way he just kind of like loses it on his own, and why he's so thankful and happy to finally be back around people. Plus that mixed with Laboon, of knowing Laboon is okay, even though he felt so guilty about having to leave Laboon behind. His whole backstory is just devastating, and it hurts. It made me cry, and it made me love a character I didn't love before. Because, like, Brooke was, like, cool. He was a cool character, but I wasn't, like, 100% attached to him. His backstory solidified that attachment, and I've loved him ever since. And I haven't even got to see him that much. So that is my number 5. My top 4 moment is more of a moment where I have to geek out on the history of this world. I have to. It's a moment that, like, replays itself in my mind all the time, especially going into arcs and learning new stuff, is in Skypiea, when Robin finds the Poneglyph that has Roger's name on it, a message from Roger. That moment blew my mind when I first saw it in Skypiea, and then learning more about it, and then the connection in Somebody that we get to that regarding, like, Roger and everything, and, like, Rayleigh, all the connections, especially with, like, the history of the world, connecting that to the Poneglyphs, the Willow D, the government, and everything, how it ended up in the sky, that moment was amazing for me, because it draws out the world so much. It has so much significance, knowing that, first of all, the former king of the pirates had made it to the sky as well, and he left a note on purpose. It signifies so much. And even though I'm getting ahead of myself, I'm not here to theorize, let's focus. But that moment is so cool, so freaking important, and I love it so much. And the fact that it's Robin is the one to find it and realize what it says. That is just like the icing on the cake, like the topper on the cake right there. It's perfect. I love that moment because it holds such important significance to the rest of the story. I love it. I love it dearly. I love that moment. So that is my number 4. Now we are getting to the top 3. My number 3, I'm kind of pairing 2 moments again together. It's fine. I couldn't choose between these 2, but they're very closely related, okay? So give me a break. Number 3 is Luffy versus Usopp from Water 7, and Usopp's return in Post-Enies Lobby. Listen, for those who haven't watched my Water 7 and my Post-Enies Lobby review, I was ill prepared to lose a crew member in that way, for him to willingly walk away. Luffy versus Usopp was heartbreaking. So heartbreaking. I was sobbing, crying so much because of the importance of this fight on the sentimental side, on the emotional side, like, and what it does to the crew, what it does to Usopp and Luffy, like, separately, but also because of like what they were fighting about, because of the Mary and everything that the Mary was going through, and all the complications there, which makes this the importance of the Mary coming in and Enel's lobby and posted, like, all of that so much more emotional and hits harder. But also the character growth this fight spurs between Luffy and Usopp is just insane. Insane. They grow so much because of this fight. And I loved it, and I paired it with Usopp's return because it holds that final punch of emotion, of that growth, and the full circle moment of him, of Usopp really coming to terms with what he did, and the way he apologizes, because when he's trying not to apologize and nobody's listening to him, it was so great. And then he finally does apologize. Luffy reaches his hand out to him. They're both a sobbing mess, and Usopp comes back. Those two moments are so amazing to me because of the impact it has from Water 7 all the way to post Enel's lobby. There is such a huge progression and impact in both Luffy and Usopp separately, but then when they come back together, that bond of friendship is even stronger than before. And it's so amazing. It was such a good bit of storytelling and plot progression and character development. I loved it so much. My number 2 moment in One Piece was the goodbye to Vivi from Alabasta. That one got me crying. That moment got me crying for sure. The goodbye to Vivi is so emotional because of everything that they had done up to that point, the bond of friendship that they had made with Vivi, the fact that they wanted her to come and she wanted to go with them, but because she was a princess, because she had duties to her kingdom, to her people, she couldn't and she wouldn't. And the way that she still risks so much just to go out there to tell them this in person, to tell them goodbye, and they can't physically say anything back to her because of the Navy chasing them and the Marines chasing them, yet they won't go without a proper send-off. So when they lift their arms in the air to signify, to show off the X's on their arms, to signify their bond, their friendship, is so beautiful and it's touching. And I don't have enough words to describe how much I love that moment. It was just fantastic. I loved it. And the way Vivi raises her arm at the end as well to show off her eggs, and Karu's beside her raising his wing to show his egg. It's like so precious. But like that moment, I love that moment so much. I painted it. I painted that moment, and it's hanging above my TV because I loved it so much. Like, it's there. That moment was so great because not only did it signify their friendship and what they had gone through, but it showed so much about the character of One Piece. This bond that goes deeper than social standing, than what classification you are, whether you're part of a kingdom, part of a hierarchy, or you're a pirate. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. Friends are friends, and you will do whatever you can for your friends, no matter if you get the recognition, no matter if you can see them again on a daily basis, no matter what, they're friends, and that bond will never end. I love that moment. It's so great. And now on to the ever lasting list of honorable mentions before we get to our number one. So the first honorable mention is from Sabari when everyone disappears from Luffy. They are all popped away by Kuma, and the moment where Luffy is on the ground, hitting the ground, crying and sobbing, saying, I can't do anything, what's wrong with me? That moment hits so hard, and I feel for Luffy. I feel so much for Luffy. He has gone through so much. And I'm tired of him going through so much pain. But that moment was so well done and so well executed, and just like the pinnacle of Luffy recognizing his weaknesses. Another honorable mention is Mr. Prince, Sanji from Alabasta. The role he plays in Alabasta has been one of my favorites ever, because the way he's able to navigate behind the scenes and outwit and outsmart others and use that to his advantage, and his phone call with Crocodile when Crocodile's like, well, who are you? And he says, Mr. Prince. I'm partial to that moment. I love that moment. It's so good. Another honorable mention is from Thriller Bark. It's Nothing Happened. I almost wanted to do a gag and like not mention it at all, and like when people like were wondering where it was, I'd be like, what are you talking about? Nothing happened. But I will mention it in an honorable mention. It was a great moment. I loved that, just it solidified so much about Zoro in that moment. Him being the vice captain, his loyalty and devotion to Luffy. I love that moment. That is my favorite Zoro moment in the entire series. And there's only two more, and I kind of mentioned one of them, but the last two honorable mentions is one, Rayleigh from Sabari, and his explanation, or rather lack thereof, of him knowing what the Will of D is, and the history, the fact that the knowledge is out there, the truth is out there, and he just is like, nah, I'm not gonna tell you because Luffy wants to figure it out by himself, which it's fine. But that moment was just gut-wrenching for me because I wanted to know. I wanted to know so bad. But the last honorable mention is again from Alabasta. Alabasta is one of my favorite arcs, but from Alabasta, where at the very end, the moment where they say it's the battle that will never be told, when the Straw Hats have won, and yet their victory will never be known because it can't be known to the world that pirates saved a kingdom. It's just, I love that moment. That storytelling moment is so beautiful. It's so good. I love that. And now for my top One Piece moment. It is none other than Robin screaming, I want to live in Enies lobby. That moment, her whole backstory, understanding why she is the way she is. Her childhood was tragic. Her backstory is tragic. The attack on O'Hara, and knowing everything that she's been through, why she is so afraid to get attached to people, why she is afraid of continuing to run, why she just wants to let it all end. And then finally when she sees Luffy and the others standing against the government, waiting for her. They are there for her, to fight for her. They are not going anywhere. They're not gonna give up. Nothing she can do will dissuade them. She doesn't have to worry about someone turning their back on her anymore. And that realization, and her finally screaming out that she wants to live and to take her to the sea with them. That moment is so powerful in all sorts of different ways. First of all, it says a lot about Robin, about her true desires, what she really wants. But But it says so much about Luffy. Luffy's character just shines. His acceptance of her, his determination to fight for her, for his friends, someone he cares deeply about. Luffy is inadvertently in like 6 of my top 10 moments because he's such a great character and because of the influence he has on others around him. And Luffy's influence on Robin drives her to want to live. She can trust Luffy. She can trust that Luffy will do anything for her, that he would give his life for her, that he would declare war on the world government just for her and her alone. I just love it. I love it so much. That moment is perfection. And the following part where Luffy asks, well, Sogeking, but Usopp to shoot down the flag, officially declaring war on the world government because he knows who Robin's enemy is. All from that one sentence, and it's the greatest moment. That's my favorite moment so far. Up till Impel Down, we're not talking about anything further because I'm sad. But yes, those are my top 10 moments. I had a harder time putting together this list than I thought I was going to, but I hope you enjoy my top 10 moments. I would love to know what your top 10 moments are down below, only up till Impel Down. Please don't put anything past Impel Down. I do not want to get spoiled. Impel Down to the beginning of One Piece. What are your favorite moments of the series? Those are mine. Maybe I have similar favorites to y'all's. Maybe I don't. We shall see. I'm loving One Piece so much. I really do. It is now one of my all-time favorite mangas and shows. It's crept up into the top 10 list and it's not going anywhere. So that's all for this video. I will be having a Marineford review soon. There is another read with me for Marineford coming out probably next Tuesday, if I'm thinking about this right. It'll probably be coming out next Tuesday, so enjoy my suffering. So that'll be up next Tuesday, so be on the lookout for that. It'll be covering chapters 570 to 575, so yeah. Other than that, be on the lookout for my June schedule coming out because I will be having it out soon, within the next few days before June starts. So be on the lookout for that so y'all can be aware of what videos are coming in the month of June. Other than that, thank y'all so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time, scholars.